Honey, let me set the scene for you. The courtroom wasn't just packed, it was electric. Legal eagles, reporters, even random bystanders who pulled every string they could to get in. All of them buzzed with anticipation. This wasn't just any trial, this was the trial, and everyone knew something massive was coming. And when the bailiff called the next witness, baby, jaws hit the floor. It wasn't a rapper, a disgraced ex-employee, or some bitter business partner. No, it was Beyonce's longtime personal bodyguard. Yes, him, you know the one. Tall, broad-shouldered, always dressed like a walking fortress, never says a word in public. But now, he was stepping into the spotlight for the first time, and you could feel it. Something big was about to blow. He walked up with that same unshakable calm, took the oath, adjusted the mic like a man about to drop truth bombs the world wasn't ready for. The judge leaned in, reporters lifted their pens, and the whole damn room went. I've worked in private security for over 20 years, he began, voice low and composed. 10 of those were with Mrs. Beyonce Knowles Carter, till you could hear a pin drop. He paused. I've seen a lot. Most of it I forget, but some things, you can't. And just like that, the temperature in the room dropped, eyes locked on Diddy. Then the bombshells started falling. The prosecutor, barely breathing, asked if he'd ever been present at any events hosted by Diddy. Yes, he said, several. People stirred. Some were for work, but others, I was there because I was concerned about what could happen, about what was already happening. Excuse me? This wasn't in any pre-trial paperwork. Even the attorneys looked like they'd just been punched in the gut. He went on, calmly, confidently, describing these so-called parties. No phones, no cameras, NDAs everywhere. Even security like him was only allowed because they were considered an extension of their client. And even then, there were places they weren't allowed to go. Rooms they were told to ignore. I remember one night in Miami, he said, a high-rise penthouse Diddy was hosting. Beyonce had been personally invited. She trusted him, he said. Everyone did. He was a mogul, a mentor. But that night, I saw things that made me question everything. He talked about the girls, young girls, brought in by unknown men. Quiet, nervous, some looking straight up scared. They weren't party guests. They looked like property. He wasn't allowed past certain doors. Neither was Beyonce. But the moment that really broke the room, he said, Diddy kept watching Beyonce like he was waiting for something. I made a decision, he said. I called our car early, told her we needed to go. She didn't ask why. The defense jumped in. Speculation, they cried. But the judge shot them down, overruled. And then came the quote that would be heard around the world. As we were leaving, he said, Diddy approached me, put his hand on my shoulder and said, some doors don't open for security. You know that, right? That line, it hung in the air. You could feel the ground shift. The courtroom wasn't just watching a trial anymore. They were witnessing a kingdom start to crumble. The prosecutor pressed on. Did he attend more events after that? Yes, but never willingly. And why? Because when Beyonce got invited, she went. And if she went, I had to be there. I had to keep her safe, even when I didn't know what I was protecting her from. Did he ever talk to her about what he saw? I couldn't, he said. She's protected by layers, managers, PR, advisors. I wasn't just her security. I was a wall. You don't break that wall unless there's a fire. And back then, I only smelled smoke. Now I know it was already burning. And just when the room thought it couldn't get darker, he started talking about a party in LAA. Big name producer walked out of a private room, looking ghost white. I looked back in, just for a second. I saw a girl. She looked unconscious. Another man was zipping up his jacket. Gasps filled the room. The judge had to bang her gavel. The witness didn't even blink. But I know what I saw, and that girl didn't leave with him. The prosecutor asked if he reported it. He scoffed. To who? The police? The label? They were there, or they were funding it. Ooh, why speak now? Because I'm tired of watching girls disappear behind closed doors while men in suits sip champagne and call it business. Because I saw Beyonce's name whispered like she was part of it. She wasn't. She never went in those rooms. She never saw what I saw. And if I don't speak now, I'm just another man who helped them stay invisible. The jury looked heartbroken. Diddy's hand clenched tight on the table, his whole team frozen. And then came another twist. The prosecutor pulled out a document. Do you recognize this? He took one look. Eyebrows raised. Guest list, he said. From where? The Hampton, summer 2019. That was one of the worst, he said. politicians, executives, people who had no business being at a Diddy party. Yet there they were, no phones, no media, just Diddy, his guests, and a rotating door of women brought in by promoters. Did Beyonce attend? She arrived, but I pulled her out after 15 minutes. Why? Because I saw something that confirmed everything I'd feared. A girl, barely 18, ran out of one of those rooms crying. A man zipped up, laughing as he followed. That man, a known public advocate for children's rights. Chilly. The courtroom fell into horrified silence. Still, he continued. No one said a word. No one stopped him. One of Diddy's assistants just calmly escorted the girl away, like it was routine. Then came the shockwave. Did he keep records? Yes, he said. Logs, notes, guest lists when I could, personal accounts, just in case something happened to me. They're already with my legal team. And are they entered into evidence? I already did, he said, staring Diddy dead in the eye. The room practically exploded. It was no longer just talk. This was documented. This was proof. And baby, that was only the beginning. The second the bodyguard said those logs were already in evidence, you could feel the courtroom change. This wasn't some dramatic story anymore. This was real. Dates, names, receipts. Everyone in that room realized this wasn't going away. The prosecutor, visibly shaken but composed, leaned in. Are these logs dated in detail? Yes, he said, cool and clear. Every entry, time, location, who I was protecting, who was there, what I saw. Some are short, some are pages long. And why, she asked, did you even start keeping these? His answer, a sledgehammer. Because I knew one day the truth would have to come out, and I knew they tried to silence anyone who spoke up. But a man with evidence speaks louder than a man with memory. That hit hard. Even Diddy, who'd barely moved until now, shifted in his seat. His team was whispering frantically. The man who'd built an empire on power and control, he was unraveling right there in front of everyone. Beyonce had received a last-minute invite. We weren't planning to stay long. He explained how even he had to surrender his weapon at the gate. That was the first red flag. He described the house huge, opulent, and twisted like a maze. Hallways that went nowhere. Rooms with two-way mirrors. Ex-military men guarding doors. Not in suits, not party security. Just watchers. Then came the moment. He saw a girl stumble down a hall, terrified, disoriented. I followed her, he said. But before I could get close, two men in black intercepted. They forced her into a locked room. When I told them I was with Beyonce, they said, not your business. This is handled. He clenched his jaw. I radioed Beyonce, told her we were leaving, didn't ask, just said we're going. She didn't question it. The prosecutor asked, what did you write in your log that night? His answer, something criminal is happening in those rooms. If I disappear, start there. The courtroom froze, gasps, shaken jurors. Even the judge just stared. Did you ever go to the police? I did. Off the record, nothing happened. The guy I spoke to got promoted. Boom, the system wasn't broken. It was built that way. Do you fear for your safety? She asked, absolutely, but I fear more for the girls still behind those doors, thinking no one saw them. I did. One juror wiped away a tear. Then came another shocker. You said you were warned? He nodded. First, it was whispers. Watch your step. A photo of him, his wife, his kids. On the back, she's not the only one you protect. The room erupted in gasps. Even the judge leaned forward. Did you report it? No, because if I did, either it or I would disappear. But he didn't run. He upped security, stayed alert, and kept showing up. Then the prosecutor dropped it. Were these parties built to shield the people inside from consequences? Yes. Every inch was planned. Layouts, legal teams, no phones. These weren't parties, they were operations. And then, Atlanta 2022, something felt off. Beyonce was invited to stay late. A special presentation, they said. He intercepted a drink meant for her. Had it tested the next day. The results? Benzodiazepines. A high dose. Enough to knock her out. The drink was meant for Beyonce. The prosecutor went pale. The room frozen. What did you do? She asked. I got her out. She never drank it. She never knew. But I kept the lab report. It's in the file I submitted. Did you confront anyone? He nodded. One of Diddy's security guys, I showed him the results. He said, you weren't supposed to see that. Consider this your last warning. You could hear hearts drop. Then the prosecutor asked the question that cracked the trial wide open. Did you ever witness Diddy personally involved in illegal activity? He looked straight at Diddy. Yes, I did. And then Boom. He described a 2023 private gathering, no press, no outsiders, just Diddy circle. Beyonce sensed something was off, asked him to stay close. That's when he heard crying behind velvet curtains. He peeked in. Diddy sat calmly while a terrified young woman was restrained by two men. Diddy told her, "Relax. You're here because you know what you're worth." One man dragged her into a back room. She screamed. The bodyguard tried to intervene. A wall of muscle blocked him. "Not your fight." He waited. 30 minutes later, the girl came out. Makeup ruined, dress torn, eyes vacant. "She didn't cry anymore," he said. "She was just, gone," the prosecutor whispered. "Did you tell Beyonce?" "No. She was quiet the whole ride home, like she knew but didn't want to know." "Is that when you chose to testify?" "Yes," he said, "because carrying her face around in silence made me part of it." And when asked if he had any final words, he paused, then dropped the truth bomb. "For years, I watched girls be brought in, used, and discarded. I thought protecting Beyonce was enough, but silence is complicity." He looked straight at the jury. "I have daughters. I refuse to let this kind of evil keep hiding behind fame. Now it's in your hands." And with that, he stepped down, not just as a bodyguard, but as the man who finally cracked the empire.